So in our last class, we did themes and a bit of appearance. And in today's class, we're going to move on to essential plugins, just the basics of plugins. You get to know how they work, and we will take it up from there before we start building. Yes, so let's get back to what plugins are. Plugins basically are just essential add-ons that extend the functionality of your website without requiring custom code. So when you're using plugins, you don't code. They just give you extra functionality. Let's say you want to build a form, you can just add a form plugin instead of coding a form with HTML and CSS, right? Or whatever you want to do with PHP. So you can do that with, and on WordPress, you have over 60,000 plugins available, right? And you can choose from there. So let's just get into our dashboard. I'm already logged in. Told you how to add plugins. You come to where we have plugins. You click on that. There are two ways to add a plugin. You can either, when you click on that, you see the plugins you already have. So if you want to add a plugin, once you click on plug in, you can see the repository of plugins here. So you can search for a plugin you want. One of the plugins I told us we'll be working with is Elementor, right? So we'll be building with Elementor. It's our major page builder. I will still explain what it is. So if I'm looking at Elementor, you see this is the Elementor plugin. The other plugins you see here, Royal add-ons, these are additional functionalities to Elementor. Elements Kit is still an additional functionality. Essential add-ons. There are many more ultimate add-ons, premium add-ons. I've used most of these, right? But when you're talking about Elementor, this is Elementor. You see it, Elementor by Elementor. So we install this. This is our major page builder. I will show you what this does. If you don't have your Elementor page builder installed, I will show you how it works. So once you install a plugin, the next thing you need to do is to activate. Some plugins will require extra or additional resources. They will tell you, okay, register, sign up, depending on what you want to do, right? Then I will move on. I will show you. So back to our document. So essential plugins for every site. Once you start building your site, there are some things that you may need to handle. One is SEO. If the client is SEO focused, because some people don't really care, you just want you to do what. Whenever I design a website, I like to add SEO functionality and digital marketing integration to help boost the ranking of the site. So I can use Yoast SEO or all-in-one SEO, that's the AI SEO. You can search for them here. So if I search for a plugin, I come back to add, then I will search for Yoast. So you can see this. If I click on Yoast, now you see this. I can add the Yoast SEO. There are other SEO tools. There's Rank Math, Lightspeed. This is for cache. I would show you. I'll still talk about it. But let me just say, let me install these. Okay, this is Yoast, but let me show you all-in-one SEO. That's the AI SEO. So you see that the function are like still the same. They have different functionality and everything. They perform basically the same function of helping your site to rank, but they have different tools and other things that stand them apart. It's like, you know how businesses are. They're in the same line of business, but they offer different options and varieties. So that's how this works. So if I install this, I can install it. Let me just install every plugin I need. Going back to, give me a minute. Going back to our document. So going back to our document, essential plugins for every site. You've seen AI SEO, that for SEO. If you want to fix your SEO, you can do that. Then there is also for security. If you want to add security to your site, you can also do that. So let's look at the security plugins. Security plugins, we could have WordFence. WordFence is actually one of the most recommended. WordFence does, it helps you notify you when there are attacks and malware and everything. You know, usually when you build your site on public domains like you have and WordPress, a lot of people want to hack you, just not just normal hacking, some are to spam you with mails and everything. But WordFence helps you to stay safe, creates a protective layer for you. So you need to consider that if people try to log into your site, WordFence will bounce them. There's WordFence, there's really simple SSL that does pretty much like a soft landing for you. Sorry, I'm just turning off all this. I don't need them now. Then let's look at what other plugin we need. WP Rockets. This is for page speed and backup. So these are basic plugins that you may need, but I would not recommend adding them until you are done building. These, the essential plugins I showed you, the SEO, security, optimization, and backup. Why you want to do that is when you're designing, plugins also affect the speed of your site. So usually you want to finish building before you start adding your other plugins or your functional extensions. So there are other things you need to consider about plugins. There are some other popular plugins that you may need to also consider. If you're building a shop, like an e-commerce website, then you would need something like WooCommerce. WooCommerce is the #1 e-commerce platform on, or e-commerce plugin on WordPress. Like if I go back here and I click on WooCommerce, you get to see that. So you could also install the plugin, but don't activate them yet if you don't want them to affect your speed while you are working, but you will need them after. So you could just install them. But if you're using a theme, like we showed you in the other class, if you're using a theme would come with recommended plugins. Once you install the theme will tell you, okay, install these essential plugins if you want to use this theme. That's how that works. Where is WooCommerce? My site is being, let me see. Okay, just give me a second. So WooCommerce should pop up, but if it doesn't show, I can install it from the WooCommerce. So let me show you how WooCommerce is. You can also download the WooCommerce plugin from the WooCommerce website. Yes. Look on Woo resources. Let me see. Extension sale. If you want to know more about WooCommerce, you can read about this from the site, but I want to see WooCommerce for WordPress. Let me just type that. It saves time. Okay, it has shown up, but this is how it looks. So if I install this, once when we get to where we need to design a shop, I will show you how to use this, how to activate it, and also arrange the functionality such that your shop would show everything. If you're in Nigeria, you need to put your currency in Naira. If you're abroad or you're building for a client abroad, you need to use the currency that they use, whether it's the Mexican peso, US dollar, Panesian, or whatever. So you could do all that from WooCommerce. But let me move on. So for page building, we've already talked about Elementor. There's also WP Bakery. There's also WP Bakery. I've not really used Seed Prod, but there's WP Bakery, there's Gutenberg Editor, and there are more. So I prefer Elementor. I prefer Elementor. Elementor is easier for me, and I have mastered it, so I've got to stick with it. So there are more, but I prefer to use Elementor. So when we talk about forms, I've used both. Most websites come with contact form 7, but I prefer using WP forms, right? So you can use those ones. Then if you want to do for analytics, you can use Google Analytics, that's Google Site Speed, or you can use Monster Insight. These are the two that are mostly recommended, but I prefer using Google Sitekit because of it's Google and I want to rank on Google. So let me install Google Sitekit. So it's supposed to be Sitekit by Google. Yes. So I will install Sitekit by Google. Then let me install a form, WP form. Yes, this is the WP form. I'll install this. Then there is one other one I like to use, which is the classic editor. The classic editor is when you want to edit stuff like PM posts and just some little things about some pages. You can use the classic editor. I'll get to show you when we start developing. You remember when we open a page? Okay, let me show you how the classic editor works. Before I activate it, let me go to one post now and show you the interface of the post. You get to see how that post is. Then when I add classic editor, or when I activate the classic editor, you see how it is. So this is, let me edit. I'll show you how the editor looks. This is your normal Gutenberg editor. See how it is, see how it feels, right? But I will install the classic editor now. I'll activate it rather and show you what this post would look like. You would see the interface changes. And I prefer classic editor for that. So you see this. This is how the classic editor looks. I prefer this interface. Everything looks more structured to me, right? So I prefer working like this. With this, you can see I can do like I prefer this interface though. This is my personal preference. If you prefer the Gutenberg editor, you can still stick with it. But I prefer this. Everything is more structured in my eyes and it's not painful to look at. Okay, so that's what the classic editor looks like. This is just a simple explanation of what a plugin can do for you. So you see the plugins that I installed, some of them that I did not activate, like Sitekit by Google. I haven't activated it, so it's still here. Starter template, I've activated it, but I haven't started using it. So that's what I want us to do now. Let me go back to see if we're done with this. Okay, analytics, we have Sitekit, forms, we have WP forms, Elementor, that's our page builder. WooCommerce has already been installed but not activated yet. These other ones, the essential plugins, if you want to advance, we will just keep them. Well, we won't. So the one for the site backup, what this does is you can finish building a website and use one of these plugins to download the site, such that if you want to build for somebody else, you don't need to start building afresh. You can just use your site that you've already built as a template, just the way we have themes as templates. You can just use that site, go to the other one, install the plugin again and upload it, and you can continue from there. Just change the details, the logos, the text, and you're good to go. So such things, that's how you do all this. Or let's say you build a site for someone and the person changed their domain name. All you can do is just to put it on the new domain and you're good to go. Or the site has an issue, you can back it up. Then if the site is hacked, you can just restore the old one that you saved. So there are different use cases for that. Then let's start. Let me show you something. One of the reasons we talked about plugins. Plugins can affect your functionality. You can finish building a website and let's say you build the website with Elementor. If you disable the Elementor plugin, your site will just go down. It will look scattered because the plugin that is holding it together is no longer there. So that's why you want to keep that. Then in working with plugins, you need to know that sometimes, if you notice this plugin, it's telling me there's a new version of this. Update now. It's not every time you see this thing that you do it. Before you do it, most times, if you have any optimization plugin on your site, they will tell you back up your site before you upgrade. Because sometimes you can just, particularly things like Elementor, if you update Elementor, sometimes you can scatter all your work that you have done because one plugin that is outdated does not accept Elementor, or one plugin that you have updated does not accept the latest version of Elementor. So usually all those things, you need to have a backup first, such that if it breaks, you can restore your backup. So that's one thing you need to learn. And we've already talked about it with our backup plugins. At the end of the class, don't worry, when we finish building, I will show you how to back up, but it's not a lesson for now. So you learn how to back up, you learn how, we have a class on SEO, so you learn how to use Yoast or AI SEO, whatever one you prefer. You also learn about security with WordPress and how to optimize with WP Rocket. Okay, so when you want to choose plugins, do well to check for the ratings and updates. Only install plugins with high ratings and recent updates so that they are, to ensure that they are compatible with your latest version of WordPress. So let's check this out. If we come to plugins, you would see everything that we just said. Look at the rating now. Over 6 million active installations. Rating is 4.5, and 1,000, over 1,000 people have given their take on this plugin. And you see this compatible with your version of WordPress. This is one of the things you want to look at. It last updated 3 months ago. You see this. Then Jetpack 3 days ago, 3 million installations. So you see, these are the things that we said you should look at. Your rating and updates. Ensure that you do that. Another thing you want to also look out for when installing plugins is quality over quantity. You don't need so much plugins on your site. Any plugin that you are not using, either deactivate it or delete it because it affects the speed of your site and the functionality. Sometimes some plugins can conflict. So any plugin that you are not using at the moment, ensure that you remove it from your site. Ensure that you remove it from your site so that it does not affect something else. So while there is no hard limit on the number of plugins, poorly coded ones can slow down your site, just like I said, or they can cause security issues. So you should aim for well-supported or repeatable options. There are different plugins for different reasons, but look at the ones that are mostly recommended by WordPress before you start using. So this is WordPress.org, but there are different people have used many plugins. The more you do that, you see WordPress. So you can read up about them, look at how many people are using them before you start to ensure that it is trusted. If you click about a plugin, let's say you just click here, you would see more information about that particular plugin. Yes, and see if it's something you want to really, really get into. That said, let's move on. The next is free versus premium. So just the way we looked at our themes, where you have some free themes and premium themes. Some exist as freemium, where you can use it a bit, but if you want additional functionalities, you would need to pay for it. Same thing applies for the themes and your plugins, rather. So some plugins are free, some plugins are not. An example, let's see, WP Rocket. WP Rocket is an example of a paid tool. Look at it, WP Rocket is paid, whereas Lightspeed Cache is free. Let me see, Lightspeed. This is to help the optimization of your website. So this. So look at another one I talked about them, really simple SSL. If your site is having SSL issues or you have free SSL installed, you may want to use really simple security. It will help to counter all those dummy things that usually make your site look insecure online. So these are some of the tools and things we would need for some of the plugins we would need for our site. So we've looked at what plugins are and what they work or how they work. We've also looked at site backup performance. We also looked at installing, how to install plugin, then configuring. Let's configure one plugin and kick off. I wanted to configure WordPress, but let me just leave that. Let's do maybe starter template. So let's go to our plugins. If you want to configure a plugin, you must ensure that that plugin is activated, right? So let me just show you updates. How to update the plugin. Just click on this, update, and it updates. Once it's done, it will let you know that this plugin has been updated to the latest version. See that updated. So how to configure a plugin. Some plugins would show up here by the dashboard. An example is WordFence. You see WordFence now, you can do this and you search for it here. Other plugins may not show. An example is starter template. Starter template does not show here, but it's in use when you start working. If I open a site to design a page, let's say I want to do a new page. This is a new post. Let me go to a page. I want to add a new page. If I click on add with Elementor, I should be able to see. Don't worry, I will delete this page. I just want to show you something. I want to show you how starter template works. So skip. Now you see this here. This is starter templates. This is how it works. It's when you're designing that you can actually pick a starter template. So can pick this. Then if I want a page, I can choose a page that I want. And if I click on this, I can import the template such that, look at it, it's telling me install required plugins and import. Fine. So what plugins do I need? It will tell me to import them. The changes may not be saved. Okay, let me just do that. needs me to do, because this is a shop page and that page will require WooCommerce, but WooCommerce has not been installed, has not been activated. So it will require me to activate some of those plugins. You see the thing I was telling you about themes too. And there are some themes you install and it will tell you to install all the required plugins. That's the same thing with that starter template. So let me go back to plugins and see if we've sorted that. Okay, see, it has installed cat flows, cat abandon, all these ones. I did not add them initially. But even this modern cat starter, I did not install all this. Look at it has activated WooCommerce on me, but I did not activate WooCommerce initially. So you see how this works. You can do that. Then now I can import that page. If I import this, import templates. Okay, wait, let me even see if that page has already been created. So you see, it has already created some pages. Before we did not have all these pages, but because of that thing, that template has created the cart page, the checkout page, because that is a WooCommerce template. So let me see. Okay, it hasn't created it yet. So let's import this. Why is it taking me back? I've done that already. So you could just go play around this, install it. I can install a page. I can install a section. I can install a section. While it's loading, let me show you how. If I come back to my plugins, let's see starter template, get started. So if I click on get started, we were talking about configuring themes or plugins rather. So clicking on get started, you get to see, now watch how it works. Website AI builder or classic starter templates. Let's start with template. Then now you choose your editor. This is me configuring my starter templates. So choosing Elementor. So with this, you can see this is a premium template. If I want to use this template, I need to pay for Starter Template Pro or Astra Pro. Well, let me do this. Let me just choose one. It's telling me to customize. I don't want to customize, so let me just continue. Then now it's showing me to choose contact form, telling me to install WooCommerce, install a page builder, which is Elementor, SEO and search optimization. I can do that, website and email. It will automatically add a form, a plugin. It automatically add a plugin for that. You can actually do this or skip it. But let me skip that. So if I continue, okay, I don't want to enter anything. Let me just move. I don't want to receive your emails. So it will load and install. Now, with what this will do is, you see my whole site that was initially empty. My whole site that was initially empty like this will no longer be empty. Because look at it, this is the original site, right? It's currently empty. But once starter templates finishes installing, everything will change. Installing, look at it, importing pages, menus, posts, etc. So install the demo. So importing cart flows, cart abandonment, recovery data. If you're into SEO, e-commerce, then you would need such things. So it's importing all the content. I don't need to develop any content. All I have to do is just to update the content based on what the client wants, if this is the kind of template you're looking at for. So starter template works the way like you work with other themes. You can buy a theme, told you how themes work. So let's just let it finish, let it complete its building. Let me see if it has started affecting the site. Yep. So you see the site is already changing. Now our site has changed. If you click on this, you have a brand new site. Still your domain name, but the looks are different. If you change anything here, it changes. So it's still uploading. 100%. Yay, your site is ready. So finish setup. So this is how you configure a particular plugin. You can do the same. This is just configuring starter templates. You can do the same for Elementor. You can do the same for WooCommerce once you start doing that. So finish setting up your website. If you want to add more functionality, search engine visibility, everything, to create a funnel, if you know how to do this. So you create the product you're selling, you add that, you add your store checkout, you also add your payment. All these are tutorial, like this particular one is a tutorial video. So you can watch the tutorial video here and it will check it for you. But if you already know what to do, then you may not do that. WordPress basics, review admin email. I can do that. Mark it as complete, search engine visibility, blah. Okay, so dismiss setup. With this, our site is good to go. Let me go to the site. Now see this. Everything here has changed. If I click on about, it will go to the about page. See this. I didn't build this, but that's what it was. That's what it is currently. So you see the contact page. Yeah. Simple as that. So you see, you have your menus. Get to look at that in our next page. So this is a shop. You already have a fully functional store. If this is what you are looking for, you can use the DMK theme template or any other template. But let me show you something now. Let me go back to my home page, then show you. If you click on the logo, you should get back to your home page. That's how most websites are built for easy access, so that you can take away home from the menu. Then let me show you something. If I come back to our dashboard and I come to plugins, you know, one of the things that's keeping this whole site together is the Elementor plugin. Like I told you, remember when we were building the starter template, when we were configuring it, you had to choose which templates you want to use. But let me show you something. Let me just deactivate the Elementor. Just keep and deactivate. Let me show you something now. I'll go back and refresh. I still have it. I didn't delete it. I just deactivated it. So it's no longer active. That's what it means. Then let me show you. You see here, edit Elementor. If I refresh this page, edit Elementor will disappear. And also my site itself will not look like my site anymore, because the Elementor theme, look at it. The Elementor plugin is what was holding it together. So because Elementor is no longer there, every design that you were supposed to design with Elementor is automatically deactivated. So that's how it works. Understand this with the plugin. So if you're designing a plugin, if you're designing a form and you use the particular form plugin, if you deactivate that form plugin, automatically you have deactivated your form. So that's what it means. If you're doing something that is not seen, like your Google search site kit, your site kit with Google, where is it? Yes. So if you're doing something like your SEO and all that, and you deactivate this, then just know that you have removed yourself from Google automatically. So that's how it is. I have reactivated my Elementor. So let's go back to see our site, see what will happen to it. Yep, our site is back. So this is how the plugins work. We've looked at installing, configuring, and updating them. Then we've also looked at how they work and some major plugins. So in our next module, we are going to start designing proper. So page builders, layout design, introduction to page builders, that's Elementor. We already talked about Elementor, but now we'll practically use it. We'll get to look at sections, columns, and block structure. Then responsive web design, how to design for each screen, phone, tablet, mobile, desktop, however. Then basic UI UX principles. So this is that. We already know we have a template, but we'll build a full site without a template, and we'll see how to edit a template. That's what we're looking at next lesson. Then we will use the template that we have to create these pages, having understood what is required. So let's get to module 3. If you have any questions, do well to drop them and we will attend to them.